Hello and welcome to another episode of the blogcast for ShawnVanDyke.com. I'm Shawn Van Dyke and I'm a construction industry consultant, business coach, and author. I wouldn't say that I'm your host because this isn't exactly a podcast. There are no guests, no high-dollar production, and no agenda. I just want to make it easy for you to get the information that you need to run a better construction business. So every time I publish a blog post, I grab my microphone and I record an audio version of the post so that you can listen to the content anytime, anywhere, and use this information to run a better construction business. Speaking of running a better and more profitable construction business, you need to pick up my latest book, Profit First for Contractors. Transform your construction business from a cash-eating monster to a money-making machine. This book is available on Amazon and Kindle, and very soon the audio version will be out on Audible and iTunes as well. You can get your copy of Profit First for Contractors on Amazon, or you can head over to the website at profitfirstcontractor.com. That's profitfirstcontractor.com. And I also have some free resources for you. So just look for the Profit First for Contractors Toolbox or the PFC Toolbox for short. That's profitfirstcontractor.com. All right, with that said, let's dig into the blogcast. On today's episode, I'm talking about whether it's better to provide line item pricing or lump sum pricing to your clients. Navigating these waters with a client can be tricky at best and downright costly at worst. So here's my take on this subject. Construction pricing, line item or lump sum. If you sell construction services, then you have had to deal with the following question from a client. Can you break out the price of each line item? How you respond to this question can determine your customer's level of trust and affect the project's margin. Many types of construction projects require line item pricing, such as commercial and governmental projects. If you want to compete for these types of projects, then you will have to show line item pricing on your bids. Line item pricing may not be a requirement, but a request for residential projects. Residential project owners often request line item pricing because they want to ensure that they aren't overpaying for any particular item. They want to keep the contractor in check, but this is the inherent problem. Owners do not know the cost of construction services in the first place. Line item pricing questions. So this is what you need to ask yourself. How can customers analyze the price for a particular line item? Does the line item price include the appropriate overhead and profit? Should the contractor show the overhead and profit as separate line items? And what's the appropriate amount for overhead and profit? Line item pricing is open to interpretation. Line item pricing, much like cost plus contracts, is open for interpretation. And I provide a link there in the blog post where you can get my take on cost plus contracts. See, the contractor runs the risk of having to translate each of the line items for the customer. Lump sum pricing creates focus. See, lump sum pricing leaves little to get lost in translation. Lump sum pricing allows the contractor and the owner to focus on the right things, the overall scope of the work and the price for that specific scope of work. The total price of a construction project is rarely one or two big line items, but a combination of many smaller items that add up. Contractors that focus on developing a lump sum proposal establish a higher level of trust with customers, they eliminate confusion, and maintain their margins. I know it may seem counterintuitive, but hang with me for a second. I will explain. Line item pricing costs contractors. A contractor can lose money by providing a price for each line item proposal because the proposal looks like a shopping list. This leads the customer to question the big ticket items and wastes the time of the contractor. The customer thinks that if they eliminate some of the items from the scope, like putting items back on the shelf before checkout, then they can save some money on the project. Reducing scope, or eliminating work, and value engineering, proposing alternate specifications and methods, are great ways to stay within a given budget. But often the customers want to put items, quote unquote, back on the shelf that aren't practical to the production goals of the project. For example, as much as the customers think they can do the demo themselves, well, you know they can't. And as much as customers think they can save money by buying their own materials, well, they usually won't. Line item pricing confuses the customer. In addition to those examples, providing a line item price to your customer for your go-to plumber, mason, framer, etc. may inspire your customer to try to find someone cheaper. For most contractors, their subcontractors are part of their team. They have spent years developing the relationships, the level of service, and the quality that they expect. Using another subcontractor, well, that's just a deal breaker. If your subs are non-negotiable, then why provide the customers with their price? This may cause confusion with your customers. They don't understand why your sub is charging that much when another sub would charge less. Well, how do your customers know the price of other subs? That's because they took the list that you gave them and they went shopping. They didn't go shopping for all the line items, though. They didn't shop for trades like excavation and foundations or masonry. You see, they really don't know what those trades do, but they did shop your plumber, your electrician, and your painter. Those subs are easier to understand and easy to find. That's when the confusion sets in. Line item pricing creates confusion for customers. What they think is overpriced in your proposal as compared to the shopping they did may be the correct amount when your overhead and profit is accounted for. Line item pricing exposes proprietary information. If you explain that the price of that line item includes overhead expenses and profits for your company, then the customers may want to know what your overhead expenses and profits are. You risk exposing proprietary information if you share your overhead and profit numbers to the owners, and you risk eroding trust with them if you don't. They want to know the real numbers and you won't tell them. This makes you look bad. They want to know the real numbers and you do tell them, and they think that you charge too much. This also makes you look bad. The way in which you run your business is none of the customer's business. Your overhead expenses and your profits are your operating system. This operating system is unique to your business. A customer that asks for your overhead and profit numbers is the same thing as a contractor asking customers about their personal salaries or requiring to see their bank statements before they do a project. This information is personal and private, and you would never do that. So your clients should never ask you about your overhead and profit numbers. It's the same thing. They are unique and proprietary to your business. So develop a process for lump sum pricing. Providing lump sum pricing to customers does not mean that you don't share any specific pricing for items in the scope of work. In fact, you should discuss the components that make up the budget. But developing the budget is not the same as quoting the work. Lump sum pricing works best when you have all the information for the project and have developed a detailed scope of work. If you don't have all the information, then you can't quote the work. You may discuss a budget range for the undefined areas of the scope of work, but this is not a quote. You can't quote what you don't know. Don't do it. Quote what you can quote and give the appropriate budget ranges for everything else. The best way to navigate the swirling waters of the line item pricing request is to develop a process that solves your customer's problems and eliminates surprises. Your customer may request line item pricing. That's fine. You need to respond with why you don't provide line item pricing and how that actually serves them. Responses to a customer's request for line item pricing. For example, your potential customer asks, "Can you provide line item pricing?" You respond with, "Well, we don't provide line item pricing because we don't price your project that way. We develop the entire scope of work first, then we price the project as a whole. In the past, when we did provide line item pricing, we discovered it created confusion with our customers, and we didn't want to do that anymore. So we don't provide line item pricing, but we would be happy to discuss the price of any particular area of the scope of work. Are there any areas of concern on this project that we need to discuss before we get into the design and planning phase of the proposal?" If you have a response like that prepared for the line item pricing request, then you'll be able to focus the owner's attention on your process. Selling a process that provides an exceptional experience is what most customers really want anyway. Lump sum pricing process. Okay, here's an outline for a lump sum pricing process, or a process to avoid line item pricing. Number one, pre-qualify your prospect. Not every prospect that contacts you is a good fit. Develop at least 3 criteria that your ideal clients meet, and only work with the people that fit that criteria. And here's a hint. You should discuss the budget as one of your criteria. Number 2, to develop a lump sum pricing process. Develop a detailed scope of work. Sell the customer a pre-construction process that pays you to develop the proper scope of work. This is not the estimate. That happens in step 1. This is the proposal. This is work, and professionals get paid for work. If you'd be interested to see a free training that I have available, go to ShawnVanDyke.com/paid-for-planning. All right, step number 3, discuss the options and associated budgets. This is where you make sure there are no surprises. Show the customer what you have quoted and the information that you still need. Number 4, describe the production process. Explain what to expect when the production work starts and how it will progress. Remember, your customers have no idea how fast, slow, expensive, noisy, muddy, exciting, exhausting, and thrilling a construction project will be. Don't overwhelm them, but set the proper expectations. Step number 5, explain the contract execution process. Make sure that your customers understand the contract. The contract should explain everything from what you are doing to how you are doing it and when it should be done to how the customer is going to pay for it. Your contract is a sales tool. It closes the deal. It should be a collection of all of the information about the project in an easy to understand format. If you want to avoid confusion with your customers and maintain the margins of your projects, then avoid line item pricing. Line item pricing does not establish trust. Line item pricing does not establish trust with your customers. Your customers may appreciate the so-called transparency of line item pricing, but transparency is not trust. Transparency should be a two-way street. I recently listened to Rachel Botsman on the Building a Story Brand podcast, and I leave a link there to that episode in my blog post. Rachel stated, quote, "If you need things to be transparent, you've given up on trust. They're not bedfellows," unquote. I agree. You don't need trust if you can see everything. You just need the right monitors in place to document the transactions. Neither you nor your customers want to be monitors, but with line item pricing, they will be. Trust is at the heart of the contractor-customer relationship. When you provide line item pricing, the focus of the relationship shifts from the abilities, reputation, and qualifications of the contractor to the price of the items. Trust has never had a chance to develop because no one is nurturing the trust. Contractors that establish trust with their clients by delivering a process that produces consistent results will not have to use the mirage of transparency in order to please a customer. Transparency is not trust. Line item pricing may seem like transparency, but in reality, it's a one-way mirror through which your customers are interrogating you. In summary, developing the confidence to convert prospects into clients can be daunting for most construction business owners. That's why I developed a system for construction business owners that shows them an 8-step contractor sales process. This program trains contractors to, number 1, pre-qualify leads, number 2, stop giving away free estimates, and number 3, to get paid for all of the pre-construction work that takes up so much of contractors' time. So there's a link at the bottom of the blog post if you're interested in that free training on how to convert prospects into ideal clients and to get paid for planning. Need help streamlining your construction business? Sign up today to receive a free copy of the Paperwork Punch List, 28 Days to Streamline Your Construction Business. And this book is available exclusively for free at ShawnVanDyke.com/The Paperwork Punch List. That's ShawnVanDyke.com, ShawnVanDyke.com/The Paperwork Punch List. Hey, Shawn Van Dyke here. I just wanted to thank you so much for taking time out of your day to listen to this audio post. Email me any questions or comments you might have at my email address, which is connect@ShawnVanDyke.com. That's CONNECT @ShawnVanDyke.com. And let me know what you think. Thanks so much.